Yeah,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Abba?
I'm very good. I'm good. So good to see you.
Yeah, so good to see you too. Teman-teman, selamat siang. Selamat bergabung dengan saya, Grace Sabandar, dalam acara saya Grace and Friends. Siang hari ini, saya senang sekali karena ada Abba Mariada Banerjee dari New Delhi, India, yang bergabung dengan kita di sini. Uh, ini bahasanya akan bahasa Inggris, saya rasa. Bahasa Inggris campur.
Ba apa sih campur-campur aja. Bahasa
Yes.
Inggris sama bahasa Indonesia sedikit-sedikit ya.
Oke, ya
Masih ada, so I
teman-teman,
can still learn.
Abba sekarang tinggal di New Delhi, India, sudah dua tahunan belakangan ini. Tapi
Iya.
sebetulnya Abba dan keluarga sebetulnya lama tinggal di Indonesia ya, udah 12 tahun mungkin.
17.
17 tahun tinggal di
Iya.
Indonesia. Jadi
Iya.
sebelum balik ke India, sebetulnya Abba dan keluarga tinggal di Jakarta. Bahkan anaknya ada yang lahir di Jakarta, right?
Lahir di Jakarta yang anak kecil ya.
Ya,
Yang
yang
perempuan.
kecil, perempuan.
Ya.
Ya, jadi Abba ini sebenarnya bukan orang asing buat Indonesia. Dia half Indonesian, half Indian.
I'm already Indonesian. Masih saya pakai bahasa Indonesia di rumah saya ya. Tiba-tiba ya bahasa Indonesia lebih biasa daripada bahasa India ya.
Oh,
So all
okay,
our family,
okay.
we all keep putting up bahasa every time, you know. So it's like a habit now.
Okay, Abba.
I'm half Indonesian. Yeah.
Okay, Abba, I think you have to, I don't know, perhaps suaranya kurang besar.
Okay.
Subir also joined us. Hi,
yeah,
Subir.
Joined. She said hi, Subir.
Yeah.
Is it okay now? Is it better?
Can
you hear me better?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think you have to be closer to the microphone.
Okay, I got it. Here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Teman-teman, kita akan ngomongin soal meaning of life atau arti dari hidup kita. Tapi sebelumnya mungkin banyak yang belum kenal Abba Mariada Banerjee itu apa sih? Saya juga kadang-kadang bingung. Karena apa? She is a lawyer, she's an author, she's a motivational speaker, she is everything. Okay. Hi, Janet. Thank you for joining us. So, Abba, sebelum kita mulai ngomongin soal meaning of life, can you please tell the audience, especially because I know you, so please tell about yourself.
Okay. Okay, I'll do it.
Apa sih sebetulnya?
I'll do it in English because I think I can do that better in English and not in Bahasa Indonesia. But okay. I'll campur my little bit of Bahasa now. So okay. I'm basically a person who is absolutely committed and devoted to people building. And that is a thing that that actually brought me to Indonesia. I'm a lawyer by profession, by education. And I thought that law will lead me to understand and work do in social work. But after practicing law for 10 years...
Your microphone, please.
After practicing law for 10 years, I realized that I will need to educate myself a lot more because there is a whole science behind, you know... took me to an absolutely, totally different trajectory. Yeah, are you okay? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So my practice as a lawyer showed me that I did not understand people. My purpose of changing lives was not getting there. So I had to re-educate myself. And I thought I'll go to Singapore, actually, because all Asia is Singapore. But Singapore was, at that point of time when I came, was so expensive. And I got a couple of opportunities in Malaysia and Indonesia. And I fell in love with Indonesia because I just came there and it looked like, you know, home. Everything was like ours. And within a couple of months, I could learn the language, and you just sort of got into that place. So what I used to do was I used to travel from Jakarta to Singapore. At that time, the ticket was just $90. You know, back and forth.
Yeah,
So I did my calculations and I said, if I lived in Singapore, I'll go broke in 2 years, and I could live in
yeah,
Jakarta
too expensive.
and continue to study and educate myself and work through
Yeah.
this, what I was trying to
Mm.
do. And then Jakarta became home, and my daughter was
Yeah.
born there, and it was just like one of these very dreamy places where
Yeah.
I enjoyed myself. I mean, I learned so much. I
Mm.
learned to do almost everything that I've learned in my adulthood in Indonesia. So I
Yeah.
have a special place for that. And that's when I began to do those study and then began to work. So my work
Okay.
was in different parts of Asia and also in India, which turned me into a speaker, a coach, an author, and of course learning about life, which is always a self study with yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we are talking about meaning of life today. So I hope I can make some contribution to people's way of understanding what life is all about.
Okay. Thank you for introducing about yourself. I also now I'm holding your book here.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, this is your book that you wrote in Indonesia, right?
yes,
Um,
yes.
teman-teman kalau mau beli buku ini ada di Gramedia, mungkin masih ada di Gramedia atau mungkin
Ada,
online bisa beli
ada.
buku ini. Ini
Yeah,
buku saya dapatkan dari Aba. Ini tentang bagaimana wanita menjadi sukses dan menjadi pemimpin, wanita yang sukses. Ini bagus banget. Di sini ada tips, ada juga apa namanya sangat dalam tentang kepemimpinan wanita. Silahkan kalau mau beli. Oke. Tadi Aba sudah menceritakan tentang background dari Aba. Tadinya lawyer, kemudian akhirnya juga menjadi speaker, menjadi coach, business coach, juga jadi penulis. Kita sudah dengarkan. Dan sekarang kita akan langsung saja untuk masuk. Hi, Mariko is here.
yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
Mariko, how are you?
Yeah, perhaps, yeah, Sonny will join us also.
Okay,
Yeah,
how sweet, how nice.
yeah. Oke, kita akan membahas tentang meaning of life, arti hidup. Mungkin Aba bisa menceritakannya dengan bahasa Inggris maupun bahasa Indonesia campur-campur. Okay,
Yeah.
because yeah. Okay, you can start actually.
Okay, so you want to put a question to me, or should I start on my own?
Yeah, actually, what is actually life itself,
Yes.
and how can you put meaning to life?
Okay. Let me start and let me take the analogy of a spider. What
Yeah.
do you call a spider in Bahasa Indonesia?
Apa ya? Spider, laba-laba.
Okay, laba is their home. I remember the
Uh,
laba. So you're the owner of laba, yeah? So that's a
yeah.
spider. So the spider, if you look at a spider, the spider is continuously weaving their web. You see that?
Yeah.
They're continuously
The
busy
web is
weaving their web.
sarang. The web
Yeah.
is sarang. Laba-laba is
Oh, okay.
spider.
Okay. So, okay, laba. So now it looks so useless to us, right? And
Yeah.
we keep cleaning up their house, and we keep cleaning up the spiders and killing them. But if you look at the spider refuses to stop.
Mm.
The spider never lies down. The spider refuses to give up that part of, and we don't know what they're doing. But if you look at the spider, their home closely, it's a very well woven. If
Yeah.
you look at under a microscope, look at a picture, go to these wildlife channels, you
Yeah.
can see how beautifully they make that. And one would wonder, we just go and slam the spider and kill their homes, right? We
Yeah.
don't even look at it. So
Yeah.
I have studied the spider, and I really believe that we should look at the spider as a role model for hope. How they build their life around that web.
Yes.
Now, if we were to look at it from the human perspective, the spider never lies down, never stops, but human beings are told to stop.
Yeah.
Human beings are told this is not the way. It's very unsophisticated. We are less sophisticated if we are in activity driven, right? We put rules, we put all kinds of things around us, and we have so many things to say and not to say, and to do and not to do, not realizing that this is just one lifetime. Now, what is the
Yeah.
meaning of this lifetime? In the book, the nucleus is just picked up. There's a chapter in the end called Jolt, Jolt, and it says
Yeah.
just one lifetime. So it's a jolt that we should get, that we're not going to come back here to do what we want to do. So most people do not know what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, some of us do. A lot of us are still searching. A lot of us are confused. A lot of us are told, you know, that okay, do it this way and do it that way. We don't know what it is, but we put a meaning to our life. If at all, it's free. You know, we put a meaning to our life. And the way I look at life now, and the way I look at people, when I look at people, sometimes I feel, you know, we have this opportunity to give that special meaning to life.
Yeah.
But what are we doing about it? How many of us have thought about it? How many of us are looking at ways to put that special meaning upon life, which is which only we have in our control, right? Nobody can tell us what to do. If we have the free will to decide on many rules, we also have the free will to give it a meaning.
Yeah.
So what meaning are we trying to give to it? When you look at the world around us, there is so much angst, anger, upset, you know, feeling sorry, so and there's antagonism out there. You know, what we have lost out, on, is the thing that we call joy. Now look at it. I mean, how do we connect the joy to, you know, material things, to money, and you name it, everything is there. But think of the joy that a child gives you. That child doesn't pay you any money to get that smile on your face. And I ask that question, why have we lost that? You know, a little bit of sharing doesn't, you know, gives us so much joy. Why have we lost that? There is a thing called, and we grow up from being
we are actually losing the childhood in us.
Yes,
right?
yes, I will come to that. And also the possibilities that we have. You know, so what happens is that once that joy is lost, because we have now got embroiled, the spider, like the spider we are weaving, but I don't know, most of us, if we question what we are weaving. So I like the idea of going into that question. And I think in the book, that question has been raised over and over again in every chapter. Why are we doing what we're doing? You know, and we must put some meaning to it so that we feel good about it. You know, so I think either we can empower ourselves, or we can ask ourselves whether it is empowering or disempowering to live the way we are living. So the meaning of life is given by us. So we have to sit down. Now, if I can grow from a little piece of being an amoeba to talking like this, today I'm talking like this, has every part of me grown? I ask that question. Has it grown or has it not grown? And like, I've grown in my height, I've grown in my vocal capacity, I've grown in my learning, I've grown in my knowledge, I've grown in my money. I may have grown in many number of things, but have I grown as a person? This is a question that I always put to people also in my seminars. And the question is, there's a reason why. The reason is my growth will contribute to the world. So if I'm trying to do something, the better I am at what I do, the better I am as a person, the better I have understanding, the better I bring something to the table. And a lot of times I see that goes completely missing. We don't think of that. You know, we don't think of that in that manner. So that is the reason why I feel that we need to be sitting down and add some meaning to life. Whatever is meaningful to you, it doesn't have to be what I think or you think. It could be meaningful for people in different ways. And if the moment we add meaning to life, the moment we add whatever meaning is meaningful for us, where we can add value, I think the whole trajectory of life shifts. So I have changed countries at least 4 times. You know, for that little, for adding that meaning to something that I wanted to do. People would wonder, why is she moving so much? Why is she doing so much? Why is she doing so many things? And nobody knows that there is a meaning attached to why I do what I do. And I'm just trying to get that meaning out there. So I may be visible as a person over there doing something, but there is a meaning attached to it. The moment somebody would see the meaning, they will understand why Abha is always like a restless child. You know, why she's jumping around so much, you know, why she does so much stuff, you know, what is she up to? So that restlessness, that childlike restlessness is because of the meaning that I've attached to what I'm doing. So I'm quite old. but I don't believe that, age is any number, as long as you can get up. And I'm reminded, I always think of Mariko. Mariko, if she's still there, I really look at her as this, happy, outgoing, and all the time on her job
Yes.
kind of kid. She is like
Yeah.
that. I really, really, really admire her. So, and Sony, I mean, I've seen her do so many things. And all these people, Poonam from Indonesia, I even remember all these names. You were there,
Yeah.
Poonam, Mariko, Sony, and all the other people I met over there. I mean, they're at it. So it's
Yeah.
always inspirational and I admire these people because I've been in and out with them for something or the other, and we were
Yeah.
doing something sometimes and sometimes not doing something, but we just bumped into each other for something or the other. So they will
Yeah.
always have a special place because
Yeah.
that dynamic in
Yeah.
Indonesia has sometimes been
Mhm.
constructed by all these women who I met at different times. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I think we give meaning to ourselves. We must have something to do more than just
Yeah.
live and do a job.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's my take on life.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just mentioned about spider and web. You
Yes.
know that we think that they are not important, so we keep we keep them
Removing them. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Removing them.
yeah,
Yeah.
removing them.
Yes.
So if you see from the perspective of the spider, not the
Yes.
perspective of us, the
Yes.
perspective of spider,
Yes.
being always removed by human
Right.
being,
Right.
yeah, should we be like that?
Let me see. What happens is we are in an ecosystem where for the human living, spiders can be unhealthy. So we remove
Yeah,
them. Okay. But I'm talking from the place of the industriousness and the hard work
yeah.
that goes into creating a web. Look at a honeybee. Look
Mm,
at their house. They are
mm,
known for being industrious. They are known
mm.
for being team players. They work together to do. I have a
Yeah.
honey web bee comb in my house. I watch them.
Okay.
So sometimes I feel, let us get inspired from their hard work. And when you see if there is one human being who's doing hard work, a lot of other people question them.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he doing this much? Why is, successful or something? A lot of questions come up because all the people are sitting in that sophisticated place of doing lesser.
Yeah.
We should be hyperactive. We should be so active that if I was average age is 70 years, let me work for 270 years. That's what I feel. Let's
Okay.
bring ourselves out. And the reason is that there is so much unrealized potential out there. And
Mm-hmm.
people don't know that. They themselves don't know that.
Yeah.
They don't think
Yeah.
about it that way. Why
Right.
must I be not using my potential? Why should I keep my potential unrealized? Why? Because there is so much fear around what people will say. It costs time and effort. Sometimes it costs money. There's so many reasons we'll bring ourselves to and say it's okay to let our potential go. So
Yeah.
for me, it has been the opposite. I say I'll do what it takes to bring the potential out because otherwise I cannot live that meaning that I'm trying to either live for myself or the work that I have taken
Mm-hmm.
upon myself. So I am like a spider
Yeah.
weaving that and working around that and doing what it takes. Sometimes it looks so unconnected. It's from here to here, here to here. So it's all
Yeah.
connected. But
Yeah.
the world doesn't yet know. And I don't think it needs to know because the potential needs to come out. The meaning
Yeah.
needs to come out.
Yeah.
Abha is unimportant. She doesn't have, I mean, her life has come, it'll go. But she is not as important as the meaning she's trying to put out there. So
Okay.
I think that is one of the things that I have realized that unrealized potential is one of the biggest problems in this world. And my
Mm.
job, what I've picked up, is to be able to let people see there's a possibility in potential.
Okay.
So if I were to, very humbly take my example, so from, being a very regular person with a family, a lot of women who have families find it so difficult to get out and do stuff. And being married, having jobs to do, having a profession to run, raising children, you name it, it's all there. But
Yeah.
I tried, and then I had to lose on friends, socializing, the television, the
Yeah.
enjoyment, the recreation, to use my 24 hours in the way that I could bring that potential out, and
Yeah.
to work on that potential, to study for that potential, to figure
Yeah.
ways and find opportunities to use that potential, to find
Mm.
the right people, and convince them that we can do something with around potential, and you're
Yeah.
one of them. So and that's the way it is. So my core calling is to be able to help that unrealized potential be brought out, and
Okay.
not in just the worldly way, because the worldly way is already there. I don't think I need to teach that to people. It's all already there. It's all in front of all. Anybody can learn.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think what is missing is what's inside of us,
Yeah.
where people don't have that opportunity, because of the way we live in this world, to go inside of themselves and find out
Yeah.
about what is the best part about them. What is the best
Mm.
thing that they can do? How can they bring their best part and add something to the world?
Yeah.
What kind of thing they can. So those questions are usually
Yeah.
not brought onto the table. So
Okay.
sometimes I felt stupid, and I've been called a fool for asking those questions, but I'm fine with it.
Okay.
It's okay.
Um, yeah. You told us that actually we ourselves
Yeah.
that have to put meaning to our life,
Yes.
not everybody else. So we ourselves, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
now we know that now in this world we are facing COVID-19. We lost our jobs.
Yes.
So many problems that we are facing in this life. How
Right.
can we put meaning in our life when we are in not so good?
Difficult situation. Yeah. Not a good
Yeah.
situation. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll take it in two. What do you call? Um, One after the other. Especially in times like this, where we have so much difficulty coming in.
Right.
You're right. You're right that it's so difficult to think of these nice esoteric things about meaning of life.
Yeah.
But if you were thinking of meaning of life prior to this, and you will have to think of meaning of life after this,
Mm-hmm.
we've got 3 or 4 months to be shut down in our own homes,
Yeah.
with losing sometimes our earnings,
Yeah.
sometimes our friends,
Right.
sometimes the meaning that we thought life was about,
Yeah.
being confined to our spaces, mostly
Mm-hmm.
with our families, and sometimes we are meeting the families for the first time, because
Yeah.
everybody was somewhere else and now we are together. I think it was I can't say it's a great opportunity, but
How
it
can
was an
we
opportunity.
cope in that
Yeah,
situation? How can we
exactly.
cope
Yeah.
with
So
that?
now, how do we cope with things going downslide and
Right.
sliding down in such a bad way and so
Yeah.
suddenly? And
Mm.
those questions become the meaning of life kind of questions become totally irrelevant. You
Yeah.
become about survival. You become about yourself. I believe, because I've been coaching all the 3 months. I've
Yeah.
been doing all kinds of online coaching with people, coping with their the downside, to try to sort of hold on to their for life, just to so that it just gets over and life can get back to normal. And
Yeah.
we've suddenly come. It's come the our weak side, our not the
Mm.
weak side, but the sides that are hidden have come in front suddenly. So
Yeah.
there are people who are upset. There are people who are depressed. There are people who are not able to cope with all this. There are people who are trying to understand what to do with this. And I think an opportunity for all of us
Yeah.
to assign, if not give meaning to life, but to give understanding to ourselves.
Okay.
All of them. So I think a lot of people I know have started to search jobs in a different way. There are people who
Yeah.
started to search ways to make more money. There are people who
Yeah.
started to find new jobs. So
Yeah.
it has suddenly put us into a space which we were not used to. And
Yeah.
our new strengths, if I can say, if I can call it that, or weaknesses, all have come surfaced. You know, so first we went into the weak space where what should I do? And then in a month's time, I think everybody started to pick themselves and say, okay, this is probably what
Yeah.
I could be doing. So I think all of us have traveled a 3 month sort of journey,
Yeah.
pushed into our faces, you know, pushed into our lives, to be able to suddenly get our weak side or our side which was asleep to the surface,
Yeah.
and then we've dealt with that side. You know, all of us have tried to deal with that side. So there is a physical side to it about jobs and money, etc., which I don't think from here I can talk about it. But all the same, I think people started to think about new ways to do things.
Yeah.
I think the only
Uh,
thing that meaning we can give to it is how can we deal with something like this? All of us will be becoming troubleshooters after this, is what I
right.
can
Right.
see.
Yeah.
So if
And
any meaning can be put to it, that is the meaning.
okay. Now, we just talk about the difficult situation that we are facing in this world
Yeah,
currently. Um,
yeah,
what is the connection between our faith, our belief,
yes,
our
yes,
spiritual belief, the
yes,
religion, or whatever
yes,
you are calling that, with
yes.
the life itself? What is
Uh,
how
I,
you connect that?
I'll really tell you something that I want to share an experience with you. This is
Mm-hmm.
sometime in 2008. I
Mm-hmm.
came back to India in 2008, and my father had passed away, and suddenly. So it was, and he was also a lawyer. I was a lawyer with
Mm-hmm.
him, so I was asked to come just to, what do you call, finish off his work because he died suddenly.
Okay.
And there was no other
Mm-hmm.
lawyer in the family, you know. So my mom was there, but she was all alone, and I mean, husband dying, so she was all over the place. So they asked me to
Yeah.
come. My daughter was just 5 years old, and I said no, I can't come. And
Mm.
then I said, okay, now because nobody else can do this, let's see if I can go and figure.
Yeah.
There, and this is 2008, but in 2006, I had I'm a born Hindu, and I was living in a Muslim country, and
Mm-hmm.
I got into a conflict with somebody who was Christian,
Yeah.
and out
Oh,
of the blue. This
wow.
is out of the blue, right? And out of the
Yeah.
blue, and
Mm.
because I never had a fight with anybody, so something happened. So that's a long story, but uh, born Hindu, living in a Muslim country, gets into a conflict with a Christian. Now
Wow.
I did not know what to do because they kept bringing in the faith.
Mm.
You know, the Christian lady kept bringing in the faith, and I did not know because I was clueless about
Yeah.
anything about Christian faith. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
But you know, the good part about it was that when this conflict was going on, and
Mm.
I was uh, on the road in Champakaputi in the car,
Yeah.
in my car, and
Mm-hmm.
my husband was driving, and both
Mm-hmm.
of us were actually sitting and cursing her.
Mm.
And you know, because this lady is causing trouble and she's bringing in faith and she's doing this and she's doing that. And we were like normal human beings. I was saying and saying, my God, I mean, what is her problem? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
suddenly, you know, I'm at Champaka Puti red light just before the ITC Carrefour. And there is this person, because I'd never seen that on Indonesian roads before this. There's a man
Mm-hmm.
who's selling a poster of Jesus Christ, a life-size poster,
Oh.
and just comes right in front
Oh.
of my car. So I'm like,
Mm.
oh, I'm cursing this lady and telling her she's bringing in faith, and look, Jesus Christ is standing right in front of me. So I said, shut up, shut up. So you just shut up, and I said, shut up. So you know, you don't want to offend God. You can offend God's
Mm.
people, but not God.
Yeah.
Now this incident happened, and it got me thinking. And you
Uh-huh.
know what she did? She brought in her pastors,
Oh.
her church pastors to my house.
Oh. Mm.
And I was like, I said, now I don't know what to do with this. Now pastors come in, you got to show your respect or whatever. So I made them
Yeah.
sit down. And these pastors, instead of the attacking me like the lady was attacking, and there
Mm-hmm.
was actually no fight. It was a very offbeat kind of fight. And she was just these nasty kind of people. And these pastors came in and they talked to me. And you know, he just the husband and wife, and
Yeah.
they had a church somewhere in Pasar Baru, and she started speaking in word
Yeah.
in their like, and there's this thing, and the pastor was sitting there, and he told that lady, don't trouble her.
Uh-huh. Oh.
She's a good person. So I was like, I said, what good did he see? So I
Mm.
asked him, I said, sir, what happened? He said, no, you are being called for something. So I was like, okay, now this is new. I don't understand that. So he said, you're being
Mm.
called for something. So you just relax. Nothing will happen. So he told this lady to relax. He said, it's okay. Don't be,
Mm.
it's okay. These people are not here to harm you in any way. So there's
Yeah.
no need to be that nasty. So we can see. And he told that lady to go. And that lady backed off. And I was like, okay, this is what faith does to people. And I
Yeah.
still don't understand it. I don't understand this.
Mm.
So I started to, they asked me to come to their church, and I couldn't understand Bahasa Indonesia, and I couldn't understand anything. That
Oh,
point,
this
my father,
Indonesian church.
this is an Indonesian church. So this is
Okay.
2006, 2007. And
Okay.
they asked me to, so they asked me, what's troubling you? I said, my father is very ill.
Mm.
So I keep thinking of him, and it keeps getting on my system. And
Mm.
so he said, no. So they prayed for my father.
Yeah.
Then they prayed for my mother. And then they
Wow.
prayed for everything. And I
Mm.
was so fascinated because
Mm.
we pray to God for us.
Yeah.
And here is a faith which prays for everybody else. And
Mm.
I was totally, bowled over by just that moment's generosity. Just even saying a
Mm.
prayer for somebody else. And
Yeah.
2008, my father passed away. 2007, November, my father passed away. So 2008, I had to go back to India. And I was still carrying this in my head. And suddenly the same poster, same
Mm.
life-size poster, comes before me in India
Mm.
through a person who I met because I had just landed there. And
Yeah.
I told my family to look for a small house for me because my daughter was there with me. And I said, because I prefer to live alone because I'm doing my work, I don't want to disturb anybody. And
Mm.
I went up to this property agent, and he had the exact same poster sitting over there. Now
Oh.
I was like, oh, this is too much of a coincidence. So I asked him. So I said, are you Christian? He said, no, I'm Muslim. I said, oh my God, this is like too confusing. So I said, how do you have that? He said, no, you come there. So there was yet another church I met over there.
Mm.
And suddenly, it's all Jesus Christ all over me. So it's the word started speaking back to me.
Mm.
Bible started speaking back to me. The issues that were there at that point of time, each answer was there from the Bible. And I
Okay.
spent 3 years going to this church every Sunday just for the word. I mean, I did
Mm.
not convert into anything. I did not do anything. I just sat there and listened. And I would
Okay.
make notes. And then I used to come and read it back to my Shubhi. I said,
Mm.
listen to what I heard. This is just the answer that we needed. And it just grew on you. And suddenly, like,
Mm.
so many incidents happened through those 3 years
Mm.
that I had multiple encounters
Yeah.
uh, with with
Wow.
with God in various ways.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I said, okay, I think I need to read the Bible. I need to understand what's going on here. And then it just became like it's still on my it's I have got 8 or 10 Bibles in my house. I'm not even a Christian. But then I suddenly realized, I said, where it comes to you, where
Mm.
that meaning comes to you. It doesn't have to be Hindu, Muslim, or whoever. And
Yeah.
it's and God never said convert.
Mm.
He didn't say that to me. But the
Yeah.
answers came, the love came, the energy came,
Yeah.
the insights came, the guidance came. So now when you say faith in times of COVID, I know people have been praying over this. I know
Mm.
people have held on to faith
Yeah.
that God, I hope this comes to an end faster. And we
Mm.
know it's in your knowledge. So you will convert the negatives into the positive, and this is going to
Yeah.
convert our life into something better. So I believe faith has been at least my partner since that 2006 incident in Champakaputi, and those
Mm.
pastors who had come to my life suddenly. That today, after the kind of things I've faced, and not just in Indonesia, just because of the work I do, that guidance comes from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I read the Bible every morning. It's there on my phone. I read everything else. I mean, I've read 3,000 books. So the Bible stands still on top because of the kind of thing that it throws into your face, for the knowledge that comes to you, the insight that comes to you. So the faith, I feel, belief is a very powerful mechanism to be able to deal with any problems, because it always says help is on the way. God is never going to leave you alone, and all negatives going to be turned into positives. And whatever is happening, God will has a better plan for you. So if we follow those four things, these are from the Bible. If we follow those four things, I think a lot of people must have gone through COVID in that faith itself, that once we get out of it, something better is going to come up for us. So, and God is by our side. He's helping us. So, yeah, it's this is my Bible is here, you know.
Yeah.
So I also study leadership from there. So it's been, I believe, faith of any kind, because faith is not the Bible, it's not the Bhagavad Gita, it's not any book. It's what you experience in yourself in terms of the presence of faith and belief inside of you. How you face life because of that faith, what that faith did to you and did to others, and how did things turn around for your faith to grow. So in my life, everything is turned around into a positive, despite such negative circumstances, that I have no qualms in saying that faith should be your biggest partner at all times. At all times.
Yeah. And it is said that sometimes we see from our surrounding on TV. We also there is on Google, etc. That faith or religion sometimes cuts people. You know,
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
So,
it does.
Yeah, actually, religion or faith should be helping us to face our life problems.
No, that's exactly what I said.
No, sometimes.
No, because what happens? Because religion has been used to divide and rule, and for acquiring resources. And if we read the history, all you know, it's about acquiring resources. So one religion says, I am better. The other says, I am better. You know, somebody puts people down. One will say, this is less, this is... But why the less and more is coming? But if I, as an individual, like I said, I'm a born Hindu. I've lived in half my life in a Muslim country, and I read the Bible every day. So I have never... I don't let anybody divide me. My oneness lies in my individual way of looking at things. So I have not watched TV now. First initial COVID time, I watched TV for 15 days, and then it became scary. I just shut the TV, shut the news. Shut the Google. So shut everything, because Facebook, once you go on Facebook, all the data comes up there, something or the other. You'll know how many people are sick. You'll know what's going on. So you don't have to do it all day. You can do it for 5 minutes, get the information, and keep yourself, you know, occupied by something more positive than listening to all this stuff. India in the last 3-4 months has, 6 months in fact, since January or something, we've seen so much violence here between two, you know, the Hindu and Muslims. For no reason, only politics. And I was fighting on Facebook, and then you know, people attacked me. That how are you? They're saying you are promoting Hinduism. I said no, I'm de-promoting fights because of religion. So you come and fight me on my Facebook page, I'll fight back with you. You know, and if you do too much of it, I'm going to report you also. If you do more, I mean, of course, I'll block you. That is one. But I'm going to fight over the fight. So religion cannot be used, and I saw some very good people using it. Very educated people, very, very good people. Because at the end of the day, it becomes about money and resources and how you separate people, you divide and rule. But that's not what religion is about. You know, that's not what faith is about. Faith is supposed to bring people together, not separate them. So because of the 3 things that I have lived in, we've done those 5-time prayers in Indonesia, right? We've been to the mosque. So I find no difference in anything that is said in any scripture. So for me, it's all the same, and everything is literally looking like each other, except our understanding is still very limited because of the way it has been taught. So I'm just grateful for that time I spent in the churches, where I found that what my book said the same thing. Hindu book said the same thing. Muslim book says the same thing. Buddhist says the same thing. Their methodology may be a little bit different, but they are asking the individual to look at God looks for potential. God doesn't want money. You know, God says, I want your potential out. Let me see your potential. You know, so I'm going to give you a lot of power and strength to bring that potential out. How many of us are thinking of that? You know, so I take it very seriously. So I'm like a school kid. God tells me do this, I go and do it. Even if there's no proof that it will happen or not happen. And I can only be grateful to my family, my husband and my children who have taken this with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes people can say, oh, it's not looking, why are you doing it? Because, it is going to be, they have, I have, literally brainwashed them into believing that when God
Yeah.
says yes, it's a yes. And we got to go and do it. And it needs a lot of actually courage to go out and do something which you can't see. But when God says, okay, do it. So if you believe it, that's the belief, that the kind of belief I carry inside myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I say, and so there is no need for faith to be breaking people down or making them any weaker. Faith
Yeah.
is supposed to make us stronger. So if we were faced
Right.
with a COVID problem, I think God would have expected us to get our strengths out, not get our weaknesses out, right? So if we are
Yeah.
shut in and if we are not going out, so God would not, would God want us to be weak? I don't think so. God would say, be stronger. So I want to see your strength. So how could we bring our strength out during COVID time should have been a question on many people's minds. And yeah, everybody is trying to support and help in whatever manner people can. But I see a
Yeah.
lot of people also, making it business at that point of
Yeah.
time when everybody is struggling. I mean, especially the pharmaceutical industry, and
Right.
people, even coaches like my friends who are bringing up stuff which is useless, but yeah, it works at that point of time. So I'm less business-like, more like purpose-driven. So yeah,
Yeah.
I keep oscillating between that, and then I think what is the right thing to do. We should do that. So
Yeah.
that would be
Actually,
I think
that
faith. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Please go
Actually,
ahead.
I'm doing this, Grace and friends. I'm inviting friends to talk about certain topic. Actually,
Yeah,
I just want to give this kind of that we are facing difficult times, but actually
yes.
we can actually share something good.
Share, exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
We should be able to hold each other's hand,
Right.
even from a distance. So I don't know, because I actually miss all you guys, because since I've come to India, there's been some fight, there's been some illness, there've been like, then India shut down because of riots, then there is COVID. I'm
Yeah.
literally shut down inside my house, and I'm missing Indonesia. So because when something like this happened there, all we had to do was put on the knickers and get
Mm.
into a t-shirt and jump into a mall. And drive down to a mall, and you
Yeah.
eat out, and you knew your favorite places, and there was so much to buy. So if you
Mm.
felt stupid, you could do retail therapy. Now
Yeah.
everything for the last 2 years has shut down for me. So I keep asking God, what do you want me to learn? You shut
Yeah.
me out like this. What do you
Yeah.
want me to learn? So the
Yeah. Actually,
conversation
this is
with God.
Mariko. There is a question from Mariko. Any difference
Yeah,
before and post COVID-19? Yeah. Actually, yeah.
difference about in what? In terms
The
of
meaning of life. The meaning of life, and then
meaning of life.
is there any
Yeah, yeah.
difference before and post
Yes,
COVID?
yes. I really for me it's been a huge difference in terms of the because I was going through some illness in the house. I told you about
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
And so it gave me time actually to introspect and to be
Yeah.
for me personally a lot of time, because otherwise you are all over the place, because you have to do outside, you have to do inside, you have to do illness, you have to do doctors, you need to
Right.
think of money, you need to think of work. COVID actually shut everything down for me. I
Right.
could totally focus and allow myself to calm down completely, and look at the situation before me, as and then I even talked to some of my mentors, or I would say spiritual teachers, and
Yeah.
they said, see, these are all the attacks on your family. There were some attacks on the family, are all spiritual in nature. These psychic attacks are spiritual in nature, and you
Yeah.
should use these 3 months. And because you have done no wrong to somebody, but when these kind of things happen, when we say the devil sort of comes in, and so you need to face it. Get up
Mm.
and face. So you get up and face. So I said, okay, we get up and face. So
Yeah.
when God is with us, who can be against us? So let's fight.
Right.
So it gave me 3 months of extreme introspection,
Mm.
a space to introspect, to not go out and be focused on other things so that I could focus on this. To be able to settle down the internal issues, if at all, and to keep my explain things to my children who were totally shaken by the experience, to be able to accept, and very difficult, and because we are sitting with a very healthy person, suddenly go all over the place, and we don't know what's happening. Very shocking for all of us. So we were like, COVID gave me and my family, my children, to just get together as a team, hold each other, and look at each other in the face, and tell each other how we can stand by, and how we can face this entire thing without falling, and we will not fall. And that's what it did to me. So the meaning of life, to answer Mariko's question, has only deepened for me, that life can just bring up anything, anytime. You need to play from the strength that God has given you, and allow God to heal and repair. And so far you were doing it yourself, huh? You are the big boss, you are the one who's fighting. You had to sort of move back and allow God to cause the repairs, to the healing, the redemptions, the understanding. What else did you need? So for me, COVID became a positive experience in one way, because of my circumstance. And it actually kept me home. Otherwise, I would have been running out and doing my stuff. I'm a restless child. I don't sit down, right? So it gave me an opportunity. It's like the child was shut down inside the house. Now you can't go out, right? So all these things happened, and in that sense, I really, really am grateful that God opened my mind and eyes, not just to the good side of the world, but also to the dark side, to the shadow side, where and God came in, again. So the presence of God was felt even better this time. So it's I don't know I don't know if I can say this any bigger than anything else. So we felt the presence. We saw God making the changes. We saw God repairing things. We saw God removing people from our lives. We saw God repairing people who had gone wrong. And we God saw God.
He's actually repairing our earth also.
Yes, also the earth. So I think I faced it directly. So I received it directly in my own life. So can't be more grateful. And every negative was turned into a positive situation. And people who were wanting to harm were removed without me saying anything. So it's like it's crazy. I mean.
Oh, I think there is problem.
Connection so problem? this is no, it's okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I think it just went off for a while. So this has been my experience through COVID, and I really believe that I was in a bit of a mental strain because of the illness and the suddenness of the illness. So I think God rushed in with his all the grace and mercy, and with all the help that we needed at that point of time. Can't be more grateful, can't be more happy about it. That's how it is. That's how that's my faith.
We are all it's been 50 minutes already.
So
we have the last 10 minutes. I've actually now we are coming to our last part of this session. Usually I ask a question to my guests. Actually, to become the best version of yourself, Abba, what is your routine? What is your daily routine? We just want to learn from you.
No, nothing to learn. I think we are all the same, and we are all learning from each other. So I'll tell you what I do. I am very clear on who I am as a person, and I don't lie about it at all. So a lot of time we have to talk to ourselves and say whether I am this, whether I'm that. We listen to too many people. I don't listen to anybody about who I am. So that is my one big I think God has gifted me this, that I take a lot of opposition, but I do not shift from that core person who is born many decades ago. So that core
Yeah.
person still remains. So that is one thing that I do. Number two, I am a very celebrating person. I celebrate everything. So I like the idea of
Okay.
celebration. I mean, every day when I wake up in the morning, I just tell myself, okay, what can be celebrated? So let's see. It's the same day. It's the same kids. It's the same husband. It's the same job. It's the same weather. It's the same
Yeah.
television show you're watching. What do you celebrate? So then what I do is I add something to myself as a person, for example. So I said, today I'm going to
How
do
do you
cook
celebrate your
differently.
life?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what I do is I keep adding something to my own version of me, which means that
Mm.
this is Abha from here, but now add something to her in the sense that, okay, today I learned something new. Today
Yeah.
I'll, look different or better. Today I'm going to
Mhm.
be reading a different book and understanding a different version of this. So there's always an addition going on in my life.
Mm.
I keep adding
Mm.
something to myself in some way or the other. So if nothing else,
Okay.
if you find
Yeah.
nothing to do for some day, all you do is you do your hair, wear your little makeup, and go and dress up and go out. So you enjoy yourself. So I like the idea of
Okay.
celebration because that keeps your spirit up. And whenever
Up.
there's
Yeah.
some addition to yourself, so if you add to yourself, you're always going to be happy. So the
Right.
circumstances around you may not be very good, but the addition is going to keep your mind in a state of happiness. So I have
Yeah.
learned to condition my mind in this manner that whatever happens, and especially with the faith that we were just talking about, God has given us, blessed us with so many things. So once we
Yeah.
start using gratitude and appreciation in our life, and you become so much light on your feet, you're lighter on
Yeah.
your feet. So like I say,
Yeah.
restless child, you will, if you come to my house and see me, uh, you know I am, my children sometimes get tired of me. They say, can you just, please stop? So I say,
Mm.
no,
Yeah.
we don't stop. You go to your room and shut your door. We don't stop. So it's a joke in our house that
Yeah.
my children are not as hyperactive as I am. So
Mm.
I keep myself very active and agile. That's the way I
Mm.
am, and that
Okay.
agility adds to a lot of energy around you, and
Yeah.
I keep up that energy with that, and to keep with that original Abha that is there. I've never let it
Mm.
say, tell people tell me, oh, you are a girl, you're a woman, oh, you're married, you got children, oh, why so I am like, I've got plug, nobody knows I got earplugs in, so
Yeah.
nobody knows
Yeah.
it hiding behind my hair that earplugs are there. I don't listen to all this, huh? So I keep up with
Mm.
my this thing. I make sure that my day is spent, I decide on my day prior. I always
Mm-hmm.
have a timetable in the night before. I
Okay.
make sure and I try very hard to, do those things. And it
Yeah.
includes four things. One is that I do something physically. Two
Uh-huh.
is I always have some kind of emotional resolution that I'm working on. I bring it
Okay.
on and I work on that so that my emotional health is in place.
Yeah.
Three, I always work on the mind, so I always read and I
Yeah.
always bring up something new to do so that my mind is, utilized and we're not doing the same thing, same routine
Yeah.
thing. So if some new
Yeah.
stuff will keep your mind active.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth, I always spend time on the work that I'm doing,
Okay.
dedicated time on the work. And fifth is the spiritual, which is in the background, which is
Okay.
always covering all the four of them. So there's emotional,
Yeah.
physical, mental, and work. Four
Yes.
areas that I always am doing things about. And so that keeps me that keeps me active and alive. And,
Yeah.
gives me reasons to celebrate, stay happy, actively involved in something. So I celebrate my person. I celebrate the
Okay.
fact that I'm here. I celebrate the fact that I have a life. I celebrate the fact that I'm trying to put some meaning to it. It's given me something meaningful to do.
Yes.
Imagine the kind of things I've managed to do just because I was trying to put meaning to something. And
Okay.
I myself did not know. It's over.
Yeah.
So for me, that's it.
Okay. You mentioned about reading books like that.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
share about your favorite books. Perhaps 2, 3 books that you love.
Yeah,
Please
I
share
think
about
one I told you about the Bible, and I think I like this one best. This is John Maxwell's Leadership Bible because it
it.
also works around my work. So when I go and we do leadership seminars, sometimes there's some very interesting stuff over there. And that is the book I don't read just for the faith. I read it for how beautifully people have interpreted one of our ascended masters as the best leader in this world, and how he led his disciples, and how he led the whole world, right? So I read that. That's number one. Number two, there's a similar book is in the Indian Hindu context called the Bhagavad Gita, which is our scripture, and it's not a religion, it's not a Hindu thing. It's a Sanatan. How do I say it? In Sanatan Dharma is from the Vedas. It's from the Vedas, like a way of life. It doesn't tell you of a religion. It says it's a way of life. That from where the yoga has come in, from where all these breathing exercises and all this spirituality has come in, Eastern spirituality has come in. That is the book called Bhagavad Gita. So I also refer to that many times. It's also in the book Nucleus. Somewhere in the chapters there's a comparison between 2.5. Yeah, it's there. Yeah, it's there. Because in that part is one of the very important part of that book is it talks of a war called Mahabharata. Yeah. And it's a human war, and like human beings fight, so there's a religious war, and we are in war zone every day as human beings. So that book teaches about how to live that war zone, human war zone, every day, and very powerful. That is the second book. And the third that I read for my work is, I really love that book, is called the Blue Ocean Strategy. I think all of us have heard about it, because Blue Ocean Strategy, because it is the kind of work I do. Sometimes it's so different. There is no set format of how I should follow that. So Blue Ocean Strategy teaches about new businesses, where how they can put their foot in a very crowded marketplace. So I have really enjoyed that book, and sometimes I follow those rules as well. So yeah, 3 of my books, favorite books.
Okay. Thank you very much, Abba, for sharing, especially about meaning of life. We only have like 1 minute. Thank you all for joining us. You know that this session every Friday afternoon is not easy to get audience, but the recorded version, usually they watch the recorded version. So thank you, Abba, for joining us from New Delhi. Thank you for all the sharing. You are so powerful. The message is powerful. Thank you very much. I'm sure that the audience also can get the benefit of having you today. Thank you very much semuanya. Terima kasih. Terima kasih untuk Abba. Salam untuk Subir and the kids.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi to you and kids.
Kita akan ketemu lagi di Selasa malam jam 7 malam dengan Duta Besar Indonesia untuk Ethiopia yang waktu itu sempat batal untuk live dengan saya. Terima kasih semuanya. Saya ucapkan terima kasih dan enjoy your weekend. Salam sehat semuanya. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.